All right, let me talk to you. Now, with Best Tours Entertainment, we usually don't do these kind of videos, but I had to do it. I had to. Normally, we do our podcast and all that stuff. And you know what? No one's going to probably even listen to this or hear me talk, but it's fine. I have to vent. Variety, the magazine, and it may be just an internet article. I don't know, because, magazines are kind of dead. Um, was talking about Marvel. Are they are they in trouble? And I think they're talking about the Marvel movies because they have a picture of the Marvel movie characters and people all throwing their crap down and walking away. So let me talk to you. I've seen some videos with some commentary on it. Problem is, everybody thinks they know what they know, right? And I'm falling into that category. Everybody acts like we know the best, and there's people that are really against it. I would say more against it, or more for it than against it. People aren't optimistic. We don't live in an optimistic world. We live in a world where people like to see failure. They like to see things drop. Um, Problem is, the biggest thing I see with all this is the toxic issue. So let me just go about this. Let's take DC movies, for example, that weren't doing the greatest for a long time. But people loved them. I was hit or miss because I didn't like the way certain characters were represented, but it is what it is. I didn't need to get on a soapbox and go say they're failing. It just was an issue. Um, Now, to be fair, I do probably like Marvel reading the comics a little bit more than DC. Batman's my dude, though. I love Batman. Superman's hard to relate to, but there are some really good Superman stories out there that make him relatable. It just seems like more than normal or more than usual. Superman is not done well enough to make people go, oh, I understand this guy. But what happened is we had this whole Snyder movement, and it really created a toxic group of people that made you almost want to see the films fail because you were tired of this group. It had nothing to do with the movies anymore because these people were so brainwashed about the Snyderverse. And it was nuts. Like, again, I have my own personal opinions on it, but there's no point even going over it right now. But the thing is, what I am going over is how toxic things have become. And I think that's the issue. That's the issue at hand. Uh, so let's go back to, let's say, Joss Whedon, who I loved from Firefly. Astonishing X-Men run was probably one of my favorite X-Men runs. I highly recommend reading that. It's really good. But he got into some trouble, whatever. I'm not going to go stand and fight for the guy. He did what he did as far as his work he did. I enjoyed what he did. Avengers, people love Avengers. They think it's a well-rounded film. He directed it. Oh, we got people already complaining. He directed it, but we can't erase that he did that. So we enjoy it, move on, whatever. We don't try to associate with it. So now we move to, the whole toxic thing could have got started from that and really ruined other upcoming films or whatever, but people didn't grasp onto that. People didn't grasp onto that hard as they did to maybe like the Snyder films or things like that. Now there's a toxic group that wants to see Marvel fail. It's a big group. They might have been DC fanboys. Again, it's cool to like DC, but when you're just a purist of DC, it sucks. If you're a purist of Marvel, it sucks. You got to be open minded. Even if they're not your favorite characters, you don't need to hate on them just to hate on them. You just don't watch it. Now, what happened is Star Wars became probably the most toxic community. And I think Freddie Prinze Jr. did a really good rant. I recommend you just look up Freddie Prinze Jr. rant, Star Wars, and he talks about how people just can't grow with change, how people want things to stay the same, how they don't know what new generations they're making movies for. And I think right now we're falling into that with Marvel, with the Marvel movies, I should just say. Um, Again, if you're reading the comics, it's a lot different stuff going on. With the Marvel movies, we're in a place where we had so many stepping stones to the Infinity Gauntlet saga that it was a clear direction, right? And a lot of people that weren't big into the comics or just watched the movies and all they knew were the movies, this was easy to follow. And it was most of the movies were just going towards Endgame. There were a few that maybe didn't do it as much, but to be honest, it worked. Endgame happened. It was a huge thing we did. And then after that, everybody expected everything to be Endgame. I feel like after that, like something big, really crazy winks at the fan. We got so many fan service in that movie. It was ridiculous, but that's the way we needed it. It was a big wrap up. We lost the characters that we loved and were on this journey with forever. But then we started getting stuff after it. We got the TV shows, and to be honest with you, I don't think there's a horrible TV show. They're not. There may not be a great. There may not be some great ones, some good ones. But I think they all like some might fall into here, right? Or if you're really comparing to a bad show, like a real bad show, do they honestly fall into that where they're like, these people didn't care about what they were working on? The cinematographer, the writers, the grips, the people behind the scenes, do they really not care and just put up shit, you know? Because there's a lot of Star Wars shows I felt go back and forth. I kind of feel like, but I don't think they're horrible. They're not. They're not. You could watch it one go and be like, yeah, it's not for me. I don't need to watch it again. Unfortunately, we don't really have a platform for the DC shows, so we can't really get into that. They have the CW ones, and those again were hit or miss, but I don't think any of them were horrible. I don't think any of them were just like, oh, this is like the worst thing ever. And I think we live in a time where we do not understand that. Me growing up, I had 1989 Batman and just Superman before that with crappy Captain America stuff. We are arguing over Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, Blue Beetle. You know, we're arguing over these characters that would never see the light of day back in the day, and we're bitching about it. It blows my fucking mind that we're bitching about this. That we're like so upset, and Variety's got to be like, are they in trouble? And it's like, no one's in trouble. I think none of these companies are in trouble because the fatigue hasn't really hit much as people think it has. People want to believe that, but as soon as something hot comes out, people get it. People go see it. Batman, people are waiting for the next Pattinson film. We cannot wait. Hush is supposed to be in it. Are you kidding me? So the thing is, there's a crowd that want things to fail. It's a whole toxic thing of people wanting it to fail. We have to just sit there and step back and just look at everything, right? Because what happened was, after Endgame, they started to try to do B level characters, D, F, G, whatever, and we got characters that really are hard to hold their own. But since we did Endgame, we got everyone's attention. That's what we as in Marvel are saying. We got everyone's attention. We can start doing these characters. People did not like that. They wanted their old, super overpopular characters back, not giving people a chance. But then you go look at Shang-Chi, look at his numbers, it's ridiculous, you know? Great movie, my opinion, and also they made a ton of money off it. Now we go to the TV service again. You could like what you like, you could hate what you hate, but you just kind of let it go. I don't need to hear people complain over and over about it. I get it, you don't like it, but the whole thing is this: are they in trouble? No, they're not in trouble. Right now, they have a set plan And if it goes the way they want to go, cool. But if not, I think they are going to switch things up. I think a lot is going to change. Now, as fans, do we give up and say, screw this? Change happens, man. Things are going to change. It's going to be made different. Just like the new Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. It was not my Turtles, but I really enjoyed the film. My son enjoyed the film, and I realized this was made for my son. This wasn't made for me. So we're constantly evolving cinema for pop culture, and people don't want it to. Star Wars has done that, and there have been some Star Wars that aren't great. They're just like, eh. As far as the movies go, we go back and forth. People hated Revenge of the Sith about 15 years ago, 10 years ago. I remember people hating it, making fun of Anakin, saying he couldn't act, this and that. Now they're praising him. So sometimes things take time for us to actually appreciate things when it's gone, right? So we appreciate when it's gone, and we actually look at some things and go, hey, that battle at the end was really good. That story was really good. Some people already saw it. They already thought that. But they were getting made fun of. They were getting talked shit to. It was whatever. Now, we may say that about certain things and go 10, 15 years later, we might actually like some of these things again because we appreciate it. Because, you know what? Some other things may come out that we don't care as much for, but these other things may be better now to us. The whole thing is, there's nothing to worry about. Long as we stick together and quit being toxic. Let's not be toxic. Star Wars has already gotten to that point. I'm hoping it'll calm down, but it looks like it's just here. The internet's here. Films keep coming out, and people all have opinions. So it's always going to be, it feels like, this toxic community, and we're starting that now with the Snyder people, and now people that want to see Marvel fail. And there even is, Marvel people that want it to succeed that just crap on everything. So they're not, they're to blame as well. So we're getting these groups and they're all being toxic. That's our biggest problem. Our biggest problem is people. This is The Walking Dead. The zombies aren't the problem. It's the people that are the problem. People are the reasons why people, this variety is coming out saying, are they in trouble? It's people that are saying this. It's people that are freaking out about this. When, companies are just like, yeah, they could throw shit to the wall and people will still pay attention. Will we like it? Maybe not, because they're not trying if they're throwing shit at the wall. But if they put in some effort and they actually care about the source material and they bring things, if I can compare everything from Flash TV show to Marvel's TV shows and compare it to the comics, and they're all pretty accurate as far as some of the source material. So it's just certain people that don't like little tweaks or whatever. I heard people complaining that in Captain Marvel, or the Marvels coming out, that the main villain got to be switched, and it was a male and it's female. He was a male one issue. He was a male villain. Okay, he was just a villain. It was a guy for one issue. Did it mean that much to you that they switched it to a girl? They may have wanted to do this as showing a girl could have power and be a villain. They did a great job with Hela. They've done great jobs with women villains. So who knows? Let's not judge it until we see it. Alright? It's just silly and dumb. And I hate I had to go break away and want to sit there and get my opinions out there. We do this on the podcast, but I just wanted it to be strictly me about this variety thing that popped up everywhere and everyone being upset. So anyways, I had to rant that, and then we'll see what happens from there, and hopefully things don't get to be so toxic and we actually can enjoy films again and appreciate where everything we've gotten and where we've come from and actually be happy. So, yeah.